Okay, so get this right. Ever thought about building software with a spreadsheet?
Mm-mm.
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. This idea of Pebble Stream. It's going to, I think, change how you look at spreadsheets, like, forever.
Yeah. It's not as crazy as it sounds.
Really?
Yeah, the really cool thing about Pebble Stream is that it starts with something that we're all, familiar with,
Right.
spreadsheets. But it sees this hidden potential, because this untapped power just waiting to be unleashed.
Okay.
And we're talking about taking, those models, those calculations that you build in spreadsheets and actually turning them into real usable cloud software.
Okay, so this Pebble Stream guide that we're using for this deep dive, it calls spreadsheet users pebblers, which I kind of love, right? It's like this secret society.
Oh, I like it.
But instead of secret handshakes, it's all about like formulas and functions. And but seriously, like what kind of sorcery are we talking about here? Because when I think spreadsheet, software is not the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, think about it, right? Like buried, hidden inside your spreadsheets is like pure logic.
Okay.
In Pebble Stream, see that logic. It sees that potential. And it allows us to turn that into something that developers can actually use. It's almost like we're translating a secret code, that analysts have been writing for years without even realizing it. This guide even compares a spreadsheet to an IDE, an integrated development environment.
Wow.
The kind developers use to write code.
So it's bridging that gap then between this data world and the software world.
Exactly. Yeah. Traditionally, you'd have a business analyst, right? They're building some kind of complex model in a spreadsheet.
Right.
And then they hand that off to a developer who has to, painstakingly translate that into code. Pebble Stream just streamlines that whole process. It makes those models directly, usable as software components. It's about recognizing spreadsheets as this, powerful programming language in their own right.
Okay, so we're talking about spreadsheets being this hidden language of logic, right? But this guide doesn't just tell you what Pebble Stream can do. It actually gets into the weeds a little bit about how to build spreadsheets that make this magic happen.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it really focuses on is this idea of a rectangular structure.
Okay.
And honestly, when I think elegant spreadsheet, rectangular is not the word that comes to mind.
Right.
What's the deal with this rectangular obsession and what problem does it solve?
That's a great question. And you hit it on the head with the word elegant, right?
Right.
Because a spreadsheet that's just cluttered, formulas everywhere. It's imagine a messy room.
Right.
It might work,
Yeah.
but good luck finding anything. So what Pebble Stream wants is for your spreadsheets to be like that perfectly organized closet where everything has a place. And that's where this whole rectangular layout comes in. It's about making your spreadsheet easily digestible, right? So that Pebble Stream can easily transform it into software.
So it's less about aesthetics then and more about just creating a system or a flow that Pebble Stream can actually understand.
Precisely. Random cells with formulas everywhere. It's like this jumbled to-do list, right? Pebble Stream wants this neatly organized workflow. Inputs here, process there, outputs over there.
Right.
Clear, concise, no jumping around. That's what this rectangular structure enforces. And that's what unlocks this power of turning these calculations into these reusable pebbles of software.
Okay, this is where my brain starts to melt a little bit.
Oh.
So we've gone from spreadsheets to software, and now we're throwing in pebbles.
Yeah, so think of a pebble as a self-contained chunk of logic, right?
Right.
That's ready to be plugged into bigger systems. So imagine you have a formula that calculates risk based on certain factors. In Pebble Stream, that could become a pebble that then a developer could just grab and plug into their larger financial application.
Interesting.
No need to reinvent the wheel, just grab the pebble and go.
Okay, starting to get the picture a little bit here, but it gets even, I think, a little bit more in depth because the guide also mentions these things called Pebble Stream directives.
Right.
Which is you're whispering secret instructions to Pebble Stream within your spreadsheet. So give me the lowdown here. What kind of power are we talking about with these directives?
Directives are really where these pebblers, right, these spreadsheet wizards, can really kind of flex their muscles.
Okay.
Because it adds this whole other layer of control that goes beyond just the formulas themselves. So let's say you have like this really complex calculation and you absolutely need to make sure that like certain parts are checked for errors first. A directive can tell Pebble Stream, hey, double check this section before you do anything else. Or, maybe you need to like reshape your data in a very specific way. Directives are here to help.
So if formulas are the what of your spreadsheet, like what calculations to happen, the directives are like the how, like in what order, or watch out for this.
You got it, exactly. And the really cool part is this guide dives into 3 different types of directives.
Okay.
There are transformative directives, annotative directives, and generative directives.
Wow.
And each one kind of adds like a different flavor of control that lets you really fine tune how that spreadsheet logic gets translated into software.
Okay, before my brain explodes, let's unpack these a little bit. Transformative directives, those sound intense.
Yeah.
What are those about?
So imagine you're like taking a lump of clay, right? And you're molding it into like the very specific shape. That's kind of what transformative directives do with your spreadsheet data.
Interesting.
They let you like combine worksheets, filter information, reshape it. You're essentially like prepping that data for prime time,
Okay.
in the software world.
So it's like taking that raw data and turning it into something structured and meaningful for PebbleStream to actually work with.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Now, on the other hand, we have these annotative directives, right?
Okay.
Think of those more like adding labels or instructions to your data.
Okay.
You're not really changing the data itself, but you're telling PebbleStream how to interpret it.
Right.
Or like what rules to follow. Like, imagine like almost sticking little Post-it notes on certain cells that say like, hey, double check this value or this section is super important.
So it's all about adding that context and that guidance without actually like messing with or altering the underlying information.
Exactly.
That's clever.
No.
Okay. All right. I'm ready, I think, for the grand finale here.
Okay.
Generative directives. Right.
What makes them so special?
All right. So hold on to your hat because generative directives are where things get really, really wild.
Okay.
Because these directives can actually create new data.
Whoa.
Or like new worksheets based on the information that you already have.
Wow.
It's like you're having Pebble Stream automatically expand your spreadsheet in these intelligent ways based on your instructions.
So it's like giving your spreadsheet a brain, basically.
Yeah.
We've gone from like organizing data to like practically writing code.
That's it.
All within the world of spreadsheets.
That's the beauty of Pebble Stream. It takes this thing that we thought we knew.
Right.
And just unlocks all this hidden potential. But before we get too carried away, there's one more important concept that this guide dives into.
Okay.
And it's the idea of, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Time travel errors.
Time travel errors.
Okay, now you have to explain this one. Time travel errors. Okay, is my spreadsheet going to disappear into a wormhole? Like, should I be wearing a DeLorean to work? What are we talking about?
Not quite.
Okay.
Although it does involve like a little bit of head spinning logic.
Okay.
So time travel errors are Pebble Stream's like clever way of talking about circular dependencies.
Okay.
Which is like a spreadsheet nightmare we've probably all encountered at some point.
Oh yeah, been there.
Right.
Like that moment where your carefully crafted formulas are all just like stuck in a never-ending loop.
Exactly.
Chasing their own tails.
Like a dog chasing its tail. Right.
Yeah.
Lots of activity, but going nowhere.
Right. Right.
So you have one worksheet that relies on another, which then relies back on the first one. You just go round and round.
Yeah.
Pebble Stream wants this nice, clean, one-way flow of data. It wants those calculations to like march forward with purpose, not like get stuck in a time warp. And actually the guide has some visuals that show how these dependencies can really tangle things up. It's pretty eye-opening.
So no time traveling spreadsheets in Pebble Stream land.
Definitely not. No.
Okay. But speaking of things that Pebble Stream doesn't like, I noticed that the guide mentioned it doesn't support things like pivot tables or macros, which are like pretty common features in regular spreadsheets. So what's the thinking there? Why leave those out?
It really comes down to focus.
Okay.
Remember, Pebble Stream's like real strength is in turning those spreadsheet logic, into those reusable software pebbles.
Right.
And while like pivot tables and macros, those are great for, data analysis and stuff.
Right.
They don't always fit neatly into that paradigm. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
So it's a conscious decision to like really prioritize that core functionality of turning that spreadsheet logic into reusable code, even if it means kind of leaving behind some of those bells and whistles of traditional spreadsheet software.
Exactly, yeah. It's about playing to spreadsheets' strengths
Yeah.
as this programming tool.
Right.
And just like really streamlining that process. You know what's really fascinating here?
That's that.
This guide kind of hints at the broader implications of this, right?
So,
Imagine like analysts who are so comfortable in their spreadsheet world, right?
right.
They're suddenly able to create these tools that developers can use like directly.
Wow.
No more lost in translation moments, no more like tedious back and forth.
It's like everybody's suddenly speaking the same language.
Yeah.
All thanks to the humble spreadsheet. This getting started guide has been a wild ride. It's really opened my eyes to a whole new world within the cells I thought I knew.
It really is. It just shows you like the power of looking at these tools we think we know, right? In a new light. And I mean, we take spreadsheets for granted, right? But Pebble Stream really shows their hidden potential as this like powerful and, dare I say, elegant platform for building software.
It's like we've been living in a world where spreadsheets were just caterpillars, and Pebble Stream is helping them all turn into butterflies.
I like that. I like that.
So anyone listening out there who's tired of their spreadsheets just sitting there gathering virtual dust, Pebble Stream might be your gateway drug to something much bigger.
Definitely.
Who knew those rows and columns could be the starting point for building actual software? Pretty cool.
It's a great reminder that, you know, innovation can come from like the most unexpected places.
Right.
That's
right.
Sometimes the most powerful tools are the ones that we've had all along, just waiting for someone to really unlock that full potential.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive on Pebble Stream. But before we go, a final thought for you to ponder. What seemingly simple tool do you use every day that might have hidden depths just waiting to be explored?